Hello students, in this session I'm going to tell you the summary of The Happy Prince written by Oscar Wilde. This is from chapter 5 of your Moments. Children, before I start the summary, let me introduce you to its author, Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was an Irish poet and playwright. He was born in Dublin on 16th October 1854. His father was a successful surgeon and his mother a writer and literary hostess. After he graduated, Oscar moved to London to pursue a literary career. His output was diverse. After graduating from the Oxford University, Oscar lectured as a poet and worked as an art critic. After writing in different forms throughout the 1880s, the early 1890s saw him become one of the most popular playwrights of London. As a dramatist, many of his plays were well received, including historical comedies such as Lady Windermere's Fan, A Woman of No Importance, An Ideal Husband, and The Importance of Being Earnest. Yes, children, let's start the summary. The Happy Prince is a satire on the rich and their lifestyle, including the royalty. The story centers on a statue of a happy prince who may have died young, but because he was loved and liked by his people, they erected a tall statue in the middle of the city and gilded him with gold and precious gems. The prince hadn't had a chance to see the real life of the people outside the palace walls when he was young, and so was quite happy with all the comforts that he received in the palace. Also, by decorating his statue with gold and precious stones, the people thought the prince was a happy soul. Now that he was out in the open, he would see the real life and was pained to see it. One day, a swallow passing through the statue seeks shelter under the statue and discovers that the prince is not happy but sad. The prince is also called the Happy Prince because the statue has a smile on its face, which we realize later turns to tears of sadness. The Happy Prince can't help crying over the scenes of misery in the houses of the poor. He decides to help them with his gold leaves and costly stones. The little swallow acts as his messenger and he gives away all his wealth. The swallow was on his way back to his homeland when the prince had detained him to help the poor. By acting out as his messenger, the swallow too did acts of kindness and had fallen in love with the prince. He would have been saddened to leave the prince. The swallow stayed long in the cold winter and eventually died. The prince, who had turned blind by now, could not see the misery of the bird and that he was dying. When the bird asked him to allow him to kiss his hands, the prince thought he was leaving for Egypt, but the bird said that he was not going anywhere and that he was dying. On hearing this, the lead heart of the metal statue broke into two pieces, symbolizing that even the hardest of hearts will not be able to withstand the shock of a dear companion who had sacrificed so much. His death broke the prince's heart. Towards the end of the story, we get to know how both the prince and the swallow perished for a noble cause. The dead bird's body was thrown away in dust, and so was the heart of the pulled down metal statue, which could not be melted in the furnace. But their death was not the end. It made them immortal. That is why the angel selected the dead swallow and the lifeless heart of the prince as the noblest things on the earth. The story teaches us a very useful and true lesson. We learn that God loves those who love their fellow human beings. We learn the importance of charity. We learn that love and sacrifice can endear us to God. The Happy Prince is a fairy tale with multiple lessons. The story is a critic on the cruel and heartless society. It is also a critic on the compassion towards human troubles. It also tells us that in reality, the rich and the poor, comforts and miseries, happiness and sadness coexist. Children, above all, the Happy Prince and the swallow are shown as epitomes of love, sacrifice, and compassion. Now, children, from the story, you have come to know the main characters. Two characters are there, the Happy Prince and the swallow. So, in my next video, I'll be giving you question answers. That's all.